Donald and Goofy have arrived in Traverse Town in their search for what King Mickey referred to as the key. You know what? It's the Keyblade. We all know it. The ambiguity is unnecessary at this point. Let's move on. They notice a star go out right before their eyes, but I paused the game during that scene for some reason and can't cut around it, but it reminds them of the urgency of their mission. As they walk up the steps of the first district, they come to the front of a shop, where going left would take them to an alley, and right would take them to the second district. Donald and Goofy go right, but Pluto, following his nose, did I mention he was here for reasons that never go beyond the unintelligible whims of the only animal in Disney that acts like one? Goofy says, "Come on, Pluto!" But Pluto carries on into the alley, and I guess Donald and Goofy are just like, fuck it, I don't care about this dog. We didn't ask him to come anyway. Why did we not object when he jumped in the gummy ship with us? And they keep walking. As Pluto sniffs around deeper into the alley, he stumbles upon a familiar-looking boy propped up unconscious against a wall. He's wearing red shorts that are incredibly baggy, yet somehow also don't go past the knees. Yes, baggy short shorts, developed by Square Enix, on sale now at the Clown Emporium. He's also wearing yellow shoes that are so oversized that I heard Michael Jordan try them on and was like, "Nah, these too big," or something. It's Sora, but the Keyblade is nowhere to be seen, although it does seem like it appears and disappears at will based on its prior behavior. Pluto licks Sora's face, and Sora groggily opens his eyes, looks at Pluto, and goes, "What a dream," before starting to nod off again, at which point the dog pounces him and causes an impact noise that is so unfittingly decibel heavy, it sounds like a tank shot, and the vibration is enough to knock a controller off a desk. Sora jolts awake like, this isn't a dream! He looks around wondering where he is before asking Pluto if he knows where they are. Sorry, Sora, you're talking to the one Disney character incapable of answering that question for you. Pluto then perks up his ear and runs off to join Donald and Goofy, as if it took 5 full minutes for Goofy's "Come on, Pluto!" to reach him, leaving Sora stranded and alone in a strange new world. At this point, he's free to explore his surroundings, and he wanders into an accessory shop. He asks the shopkeeper, who introduces himself as Sid, where they are, and then they have a completely inconsequential conversation about how, "Well, kid, this sure ain't your island. Thanks, genius, but if I run into trouble, I can come to you, right?" When Sora enters the second district of Traverse Town, his peaceful confusion is interrupted by a civilian running past him who trips and falls on his back, and as he does, a spectral vision of a heart emanating from his chest leaves his body and floats towards a pulsing black sphere that has appeared nearby. When the heart enters the sphere, a being looking like a small darkness-filled animated suit of armor appears, dances around for a few seconds, then vanishes just the way it came, with the civilian vanished as well. Following that, a small horde of those same dark creatures that plagued Destiny Islands rise up from the ground in front of Sora. The Keyblade handily materializes in Sora's grip, and he uses it to decidedly smite the enemies before him. Now, as Sora wanders around the 3 districts of Traverse Town, while Donald and Goofy are separately doing the same, what ensues can only be described as the most leisurely, nonchalant game of cat and mouse the world has ever seen. Donald and Goofy consistently stroll through areas that Sora just left moments ago, the 3 never crossing paths even once. Sora must continue to fight more dark creatures, springing up every step of the way, while Donald and Goofy seem to be curiously encounter-free. On his way back to the first district, Sora can find a postcard in a treasure chest. There's a challenge that if you find and mail 10 of them, you win a fabulous prize, but I'm not entirely sure who's left in Sora's life for him to mail a postcard to that isn't missing or been swallowed by darkness. Upon re-entering the first district, Sora finds it swarming with more creatures, and he must take shelter in the accessory shop. As he exits, an unidentified voice issues a warning. They'll come at you out of nowhere. A man with long brown hair and a prominent lion necklace reveals himself visually to Sora, pointing at him. And they'll keep coming at you, as long as you continue to wield the Keyblade. The man starts muttering to himself, "But why? Why would it choose a kid like you?" He begins to walk towards Sora with his arm outstretched. "Now let's see that Keyblade." Sora takes a step back. "What? There's no way you're getting this!" The man stops. "All right," he says, hoisting a thick sword of his own over his shoulder. "Have it your way." A fight ensues, which Sora can either win or lose, and the story will progress. If Sora loses, he blacks out from fatigue. If Sora wins, he blacks out from fatigue. It's a real choose-your-own-adventure. After the fight, a woman with dark hair dressed as a ninja calls the man Leon. Meanwhile, as Donald and Goofy are walking down a dark alleyway with no hope of ever bumping into Sora, a finger taps Donald on the shoulder, who then proceeds to freak out and scream like only Donald can. Or, I don't know. The finger belongs to a woman dressed in pale pink garb, with brown hair and gentle eyes, who asks the duo if they were sent by the king. King Mickey? Yes. Ooh, how does she know the king? And does she know where he is? Questions to be answered in time. The next scene begins with Kyrie's voice telling Sora to wake up. As he opens his eyes, his blurred vision can barely make out the figure of a girl with red hair standing over him. It looks to be Kyrie. She asks him if he's okay, then tells him the creatures that attacked him were after the Keyblade. But it's his heart they really want because he wields the Keyblade. Sora tells Kyrie how glad he is that she's okay. She responds with, "Kyrie? Who are you talking about? I'm the great ninja Yuffie." Sora's blurred vision clears and reveals the figure standing over him to be the same woman who was talking to Leon after their battle. What a letdown, right? Although Yuffie has her own physical charms that are not to be denied. Sora looks over and sees the Keyblade propped against a wall of the room the three of them are in. Three including Leon, who's also there. Yuffie explains that the Keyblade is how the creatures were tracking Sora, so they had to get it away from him for a time in order to conceal his heart from them. But it won't work for long. Leon muses about how hard it is to believe that Sora, of all people, is the chosen one. Apparently the Keyblade chooses its master, and it chose him. Sora's like, "Well, I didn't ask for this. I remember being in my room." That's when the realization hits him hard. Wait a second, what happened to my home? My island? Riku! Kyrie! Leon looks at him solemnly. You know what? I really don't know. From there, Sora can talk to Yuffie, and she's very euphemistic, if that's a word. You know, she's just sitting there, sort of, come and take me on the bed, and she's like, did you know the Keyblade can open all sorts of locks? And I'm just like, if you were wearing a chastity belt and that shit's got a padlock, I am the Keyblade master for damn sure. Meanwhile, Donald and Goofy are being talked to by that woman from the alley in a room that looks very similar to the one Sora's in. She says that there are many other worlds out there besides their castle in this town. They're supposed to be secret, and they've been secret because they've never been connected. Until now. Those creatures that keep attacking Sora, and everyone for that matter, are called the Heartless. Those without hearts, which only makes sense. They're attracted by the darkness in people's hearts, and there is darkness in every heart. Mine specifically probably overflows with it, so I guess there's no chance of me ever being a Keyblade master. Bummer. As the talks between rooms go on, they mention a man named Ansem who was studying the Heartless. He recorded all of his findings in a detailed report, but its pages were scattered everywhere somehow. And now we come to the first voice actor nitpick of this game that I have. When Donald hears that the pages were scattered, he goes, "Scattered?" Just pretend that was a good impression. And then the woman says, "Too many worlds." But the subtitles say, "to many worlds," which is what makes sense because the pages weren't scattered too many worlds, they were scattered to many worlds. So she's saying it blatantly wrong, but they somehow never caught the mistake, and it bugs me every time I hear it, which by now is like 20 times, since that's how many times I've beaten this damn amazing game. Anyway, the discussion happening in Sora's room skids to a halt when the Heartless start to appear right inside of it. Leon smacks one out the window, and both he and Sora jump out into the alley while Yuffie runs out the door, which swings open and smacks Donald in the face, because once again, Donald and Goofy were in the room right next to Sora's and just missed him. Throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care anymore. Unknowingly separated for the 50th time, Sora fights his way to the 3rd district, while Donald and Goofy keep on strolling encounterless through a different way there. Once Sora steps into the middle of the area, Donald and Goofy are both on a high balcony overlooking the square where they finally come face to face with the Heartless. Donald, posturing, lets out a battle cry before the two of them are sent flying off the balcony and directly on top of Sora, because they actually suck at fighting, and that fact will never change. As they recover, Donald and Goofy see the Keyblade in Sora's outstretched arm and exclaim, "Oh, Oh, the key! No time to celebrate, though, because a gigantic suit of armor falls from the sky and lands with an imposing thud. In pieces on the ground, each individual appendage comes to life, each arm and leg swirling around the body before attaching themselves to their rightful places, and then promptly detaching themselves to hover near their positions like a giant metal Rayman. It's the first boss encounter where Sora fights alongside Donald and Goofy, who were very adept at getting killed and wasting items on each other. The guard armor initiates attacks by operating each detached limb autonomously, fighting in conjunction with the body or sending them off on their own. The newfound trio of heroes work to dismantle each piece individually before focusing their attacks on the body, or more accurately, Sora works to dismantle each piece individually before focusing his attacks on the body, while Donald and Goofy run around aimlessly and pretend to help. Help or not, the guard armor is defeated shortly, and the heroes rejoice. Donald and Goofy explain their mission to Sora and ask him to come along with them. Sora is hesitant and gloomy because he needs to find his friends and apparently somehow thinks a gummy ship that can travel to other worlds wouldn't be that helpful for a search and rescue mission, but he eventually agrees. Goofy teaches him a dodge roll ability, and Donald teaches him a fire spell. It's all set to be one interesting and adventurous journey. However, meanwhile, elsewhere, a dark round table showing a vision of the new trio of heroes is flickering in the middle of a dim room, surrounded by shadowy figures whose voices are all very distinct if you've ever seen any Disney movies from the 1950s. They seem to have a villainously vested interest in Sora, Donald, and Goofy, and are ruminating about how to deal with them. One of the figures is more well-lit than the others. It's Maleficent, the evil witch from Sleeping Beauty, a movie Disney fans from around the world pretend they've seen. She seems to be the leader of the group, and indicates that they'll all be watching Sora and company very closely. So that's gonna do it for this chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.